Hi everyone, or I guess I should say, this is like my third video, so I guess I should actually say it in Cherokee. So, Sionigara. I am recording very late, and I know I've been very bad and haven't been making videos lately. I've been traveling for Christmas. That's my only excuse. But I just wanted to give y'all an update real quick on how I'm going with the Cherokee syllabary and with vocab. So the answer is it's not going great. Um, Learning the syllabary is taking longer than I thought it would, especially uh, the letters that look very similar but sound different I've been struggling with, so I've been drilling just like those sets of letters to get better at differentiating them. And that's been helping, but I think I still have like another week to go before I'm really solid on syllabary, so I'll maybe update in a video later when I'm better at that. But I've been thinking that maybe it's time to start integrating some vocab practice, and with that, especially to give me words where I can like recognize characters, I think that helps me a lot. Um, and so I'm going to start making vocab lists, I think, using my mom's Cherokee English dictionary. She won't know that I'm using it because I don't think she's watched any of the videos, but come to think of it, I don't think anyone's watched any of these videos, not even like the people that I've sent links to multiple times. So if you're watching this now, if you're one of those people, this is a call out. I'm disappointed. Um, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so like I'm going to start doing that, and I think I might also work on the See Say Write courses that Cherokee Nation provides. If anyone's interested in doing that with me, I'll post a link down below to the Cherokee Language Learning Center and the actual Moodle page where you can take the course. Yeah, so since I only had a short update, I thought I would just sort of do like a free thought, like stream of consciousness ramble about like Cherokee identity in the language. Because like I feel like something that I've struggled to articulate before is like how how like my own Cherokee identity has been something that's like fluctuated a lot during my life, and like I always feel like I'm concealing that from people, and I don't mean to. It's just that like it's super awkward to introduce yourself to someone like and be like, "Hi, here's my identity and here's all the things I'm insecure with about it." Like you can't just like do it, and then it's like at what point do you be like, "Listen, friend, I haven't been honest with you. I'm a low blood quantum Cherokee." Like you can't just like bring it up naturally unless it comes up in conversation. So I'm going to get this all on the record now so that if anyone ever has any questions about this from me, I can just direct them to this video. Or if anyone in the future says that I'm like a pretendian or like I'm a faker or something, I can just be like, look, I've addressed this, like get out of my face. So let's talk about Cherokee identity and how complicated it is. So for anyone unfamiliar with Native American identities, it's very complicated, and I feel like we're especially at like a difficult time right now, uh, just because a lot of people my age like are not at a high enough blood quantum to be members of their tribes. So I'm going to start by talking about the blood quantum system. So like for Black Americans, in the older days at least, there was like the one drop rule that like any amount of like African descent that you had made you Black and therefore like vulnerable to the system of chattel slavery. But for Native Americans, it was like the opposite because, it was to the advantage of the colonists to have a larger pool of people to enslave, but it wasn't to their advantage to have a larger pool of native people making claims on the land. So instead, it became very much about like, how much blood do you have? And if you aren't like a full blood, then are you really even native? And so that is sort of the background of why a lot of Native Americans are not very happy with like the blood quantum system. So if you are an enrollee of a federally recognized tribe in the United States, you have to have like proof of ancestry, and then the government issues you a card called a Certificate of Degree of Indian Blood, I think. A CDIB card. Also, people do call them blood cards. And then it says on it, like, how much blood you have. And so then, like, a lot of tribes have rules about you have to be a certain amount to be eligible for tribal membership. Like, I think for the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, it's an eighth. I can't promise I'm right on that, but that's what I recall. And then for some tribes, it's like even more than that, like it'll be like a quarter. And then for some tribes, it's lower. And then for some, like the Cherokee Nation, you don't have to be like a certain amount. Any amount is fine as long as you have an ancestor who signed on to the Dawes Roll, which was like basically a census of members of the 5 tribes back in the 1800s. And so then like census takers literally went and walked around and like had people sign it, and they like looked at them and made a guess about how much native they were. So then like my ancestor who signed the Dawes Roll was written down as I think 1/16th, and so then like when you get down all the way to me, it like ends up being that like my CDIB says I think 1/524th on it, which is like obviously like a ridiculously small fraction, but like it's good enough to be a Cherokee enrollee, and it's good enough that like my mom and my grandmother are also Cherokee enrollees. And so like, you know, obviously that lends itself to sort of a status system where people with higher blood quantums sometimes feel that they should have more of a say in how things are run, and that like, you know, a lot of the times when I'm talking to white people, they think that that basically shouldn't even count, or like they'll think that that like, you know, oh well, that's why you don't like look the way I imagine Native Americans, like that makes any sense, which obviously it doesn't. Yeah, so like I think I've always just sort of like struggled with the fact that like I grew up non-traditional, I grew up far away from Indian country, like I grew up knowing a few things here and there, knowing some stories, and knowing about my family's history, but not necessarily knowing a lot about Cherokee culture per se. Like I knew what the syllabary was, and I knew that the language was still around, but no one in my family spoke any of the language. I guess I knew like a couple of words, but like it was like sugeta, which means apple, and gihli, which means dog. So like just random like childhood kind of words, if that makes sense. Yeah, so like I think I always just like had trouble figuring out how I fit into Cherokee identity, because like I didn't know all the things you need to know about being Cherokee, if that makes any sense. So like over the years I've been going through this process of like learning more, trying to figure out what it is I don't know, talking to people who know more than I do, and trying to like trying to find the best way that like I can embrace being Cherokee and help other Cherokees, like help the language continue, help with any way I can with like telling people more about Native American cultures, and about like activism and stuff. So like it's been a long process, but like one of the reasons I really like learning the language is that I feel like it's a really clear way that like I can simultaneously like do something that feels good to me, but also like I know that it helps the larger project of like preserving Cherokee culture, and keeping it like vibrant and interconnected. So like I have, you know, come to learn that like, you know, even if I don't have like a bunch of Cherokee ancestors who have like really amazing life stories, like it doesn't really matter who my exact ancestors are as much as it matters what I can do with my own life to help preserve Cherokee culture, and to help like, if I have kids, then I can raise them speaking Cherokee, and that's like a really positive step for language preservation. So like, I don't know if any of this really made sense, but like, I want to just be clear about the fact that like part of my journey with the language is also a journey with cultural identity, and like solidifying my sense of being tied to Cherokee culture and a part of like the larger community in ways that like I didn't when I was younger. So if you have any questions or anything about that, feel free to contact me, comment or whatever. I don't care. But like, yeah, I just wanted to sort of express those thoughts. And that's all I have for today. So I guess since I'm also now starting off with a Cherokee welcome, I'll say goodbye in Cherokee as well. So da da go I think that is. Yep, I think so. All right.